Oh, thank you.
So there's been something that's been on my mind, and I was like, let me just go ahead and share it. Now, I will say this. I'm going to start off saying this. I know some Christians out there, they get, when their theology is threatened, they get all defensive. But what I am going to say is a bit controversial, because in westernized Christianity, aka Protestant, aka Protestant, we don't like to hear about things like this. So this is something that I've noticed. Okay, and you may not have heard this, but I have heard this. That's why I don't go to church. I don't go to church. I can't do the shows. I can't do the fakeness. I have 3 points to make. Let me write it down so I don't forget. Okay. Let me see. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm writing it down with my beautiful yet ugly handwriting. I call it Bugly handwriting. Yes. Praise him. Oh man, let's see. I done forgot what I was gonna say. I guess I'm gonna spew a little bit, and I'm sure I'll come back to what I was gonna say in the first place. So, church. I hate saying that word. The church building, because the people are the church. Okay, let me just go there. Church is people, but there's a church building. So, that's what church. It's really church building, because church is the people. Anyways, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. That's not my point. Also, if you're just now tuning into Vulnerability Time Podcast, because I know a couple people are, look, this is a podcast where there is honesty. We don't have time to judge. We don't have time to be perfect here. This is honesty. Vulnerability equals victory. Come as you are. And literally, come as you are. And how I allow people to come to this podcast, how people who listen to this podcast, they come as they are. And that is also the same principle that is supposed to be inside of churches. Inside of church buildings, excuse me. This is the thing. The church building is supposed to be like a hospital. Who checks their prettiness or their performance at the door before they come through a hospital? If you call 911, you're not going to sit there and put on makeup until you can be looking all good and you hide your flaws, behind the makeup and behind the nice suits and everything, behind the money. You call 911, you're bleeding out, you're going to go to the hospital as you are, whether you're looking rough or you're looking rich. You're going to come as you are. And I'm not saying makeup's a bad thing. No. I'm using makeup and suits symbolically. Okay, so, and stick with me. I'm going to bless you. Stick with me. We're going to go through this bonus episode together. It's going to make sense, but you got to stick with me first, because the reason why I'm going to mention every detail so that the point can correctly and gracefully be made. There we go. So stick with me. Church building is supposed to be a place where people come as they are, right? Now, that is unfortunately not always the case, how it should be the case, but it is not always the case, unfortunately. The case should be people literally come as they are. You shouldn't have to check your flaws at the door. No, come as you are so you can get actual help and healing. Okay, you can't heal what you're hiding. But that's the thing. It's hard. It's hard to come honest because people will judge. And then from that judgment, they will condemn. I hear people all the time. I hear the church say all the time. That's why I don't go to church anymore. This is one of the main reasons. They say how we have to be an example of Christ. And how, notice the Bible doesn't ever say be Christ. It says be like Christ. Now, if you go back to the original translations before King James put his hands on it and fucked everything up, before the Geneva Bible, the Geneva Bible. See, this is the thing, folks. If you're listening to this, do research and due diligence on how the first Bible was, because it should have never been touched to begin with. Okay? And now look, now we're all fucked up. That's why I don't like the Protestant, aka Westernized Christianity. Now we're all fucked up because certain people decided, I'm gonna tamper with this sacred text so that I can manipulate. But I want y'all to know something, okay? It says the original says try to be like Christ. It says try. It does not say be like him. It doesn't say be perfect. It says just try your best. Because why? We're gonna fuck up. We're going to fall short. We're going to. But try your best. Stick with me, folks. I'm almost at my point. This will not be a long episode. I've said not a long episode before, but y'all know me. Y'all know that I keep it going. But no, this time it will not be a long episode. I feel like someone needs to hear this. I feel like there's some people that need to hear this, because you know why? We don't know everything, but we can learn anything. So I'm speaking to folks who need to hear this, because one time I needed to hear this. You know, I'm not just speaking to folks who need to hear it. I'm speaking to folks who just also are just listening and just want to learn. You know, because folks, we are just humans trying to get to this earth, trying to get through this earth. Let us do it gracefully and lovingly. We don't got time for judging. We just don't. There's too much going on, too much fucking hate. But anyways, let me wrap up my point. Okay. This is what frustrates me. I heard a lot of, when I used to go to church, I heard a lot of people say in the church, people look at us like hypocrites if we're not, acting like Christ in the world. And I see the point that they're trying to make, but this is why, from what I have observed, this is why people who don't go to church see people who go to church as hypocritical, because they are being hypocritical. Okay? This is the thing. When did it become an action-based thing? To all the church folk listening, all the Christians, when did it become an action-based thing? When did your actions cleanse you? Huh? No, it was the cross that cleansed you, right? Okay, so we all fall short of the glory. There is forgiveness, yada yada yada. Okay, this is the thing. It's not that people who don't go to church, it's not that they're viewing us as hypocrites because we do the same actions. No, it's because, yes, we do the same actions, but it's what we do after. We judge and condemn others for doing the actions. It's not about doing the actions. It's how we treat others when they do the same actions as us. Why do you have to condemn somebody? Why? Why? Because their flaw looks different than yours. Or why? Because they don't even have a flaw. You just view it as a flaw. What? What is that? Because this is what it comes down to. You don't have to be atheist or Christian. You don't have to be Christian to do a good thing. You don't have to be Christian to do a bad thing. Everybody, every human is imperfect. We all do great and bad things. We do. You know what I mean? I've met so many atheists, okay, that if let's say if we were basing everything off actions, which is bullshit, because it shouldn't be like that. But just to prove a point, I have met so many atheists that act better than Christians. Okay? So many. It is not an action-based thing, the church. It's how you go about it. Just try your best. Do you have a relationship with your higher power? Or are you just religion? Only the rules. You know what I mean? Let's ask ourselves this. Because, folks, let me tell you something. I'm tired of seeing people hurt. I'm tired of seeing people hurt by the church. I'm tired of it. I feel like nobody speaks on it. Nobody speaks on it. Nobody wants to speak on it. No, excuse me. No, I feel like nobody in the church wants to speak on it because it's too uncomfortable. Because we don't like looking like the bad guy. We don't like the fact to realize the fact, guess what? We are not perfect too. We shouldn't only say we aren't perfect when it benefits us. What is that? What is that? When did it get like that? When did the church building become a place where people have to walk in and cherry pick their flaws / sins? I hate using that word sin. I hate it because it really just means missing the mark. It's not a shameful term. After the cross is occurred, it is not a shameful term. It just means, oh, hey, I missed the mark. We just put so much condemnation in these things. And it's just like we condemn people. What is up with that? When did the church building become a place where we have to dress a certain way, where we have to act a certain way? No, come as you are. Genuinely come as you are. You can't heal what you were hiding. Bring that stuff that's in the dark, bring it to the light. Bring it. It is not that our actions are good or bad, because look. It is not that our actions are good or bad, and that's why people call the church folks hypocrites. No. Because we all have an understanding we are human. It's just that folks condemn when they themselves do the same thing. It's not that the root of it is not the action. The real problem is the condemnation and the judgment that we put onto people. When we ourselves, we fuck up. Every human fucks up in different ways. Some people fuck up the same, some people fuck up differently. But we all fuck up. There's too much damn hate in this world for us to continue judging. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Notice, folks, I am saying us. Because guess what? I've been judging lately. So I'm throwing myself under the Hummer limousine. Y'all know I don't say throwing myself under the bus. I'm throwing myself under the Hummer limousine because I gotta fix this shit too. I've been judging lately. And you know who I've been judging? I've been judging Christians. I've been judging Christians. And that's what's so fucked up about judgment. A lot of the times, it can be internalized. We can externalize judgment, and then... Let me tell you something. Judgment is a gun with a boomerang bullet. You shoot too much, some of them bullets gonna come back at you. We'll end up projecting our judgment. We'll end up basing one person's actions. We'll end up basing that on the rest. Let me throw myself under the Hummer limousine. I'm gonna use myself as an example. Folks, y'all want to know what I do? Now, y'all know, if you listen to season 1, season 2, and a couple of episodes of season 3, y'all know church hurt comes up in some, not all, in a few of those episodes, because that's part of my story. Y'all know the abuse that I've, in the church. Y'all know all types of abuse. Okay, what I do, okay, because of what a lot of Christians have done to me, whether they meant to or not, because of what a lot of them have done to me, I view all of them as the people who have hurt me. You just gotta say you're a Christian, especially if you're an African American Christian, mostly an African American male Christian. I'm going to view you as a rapist. I'm going to view you as someone who's going to judge me. I'm going to view you as someone who's going to harm me. I'm going to view you as someone who's going to physically abuse me. Because of a lot did that to me, so now I judge everybody. Now, I know judgment oftentimes can be a protection mechanism. Okay? However, and that's a little different. That's why we got to be aware. However, let me skip to the next point. When judgment is not a protection mechanism, when it is rather a condemnation mechanism. That's the fucked up part. That's the fucked up part, because it's just like we don't have any traumatic reason for us to dislike a group of people or dislike someone. We just simply don't like them because we don't agree with their actions. They're not hurting you. You just don't agree with their actions because it's uncomfortable to you or because you don't understand their actions. But that's also the thing. Humans aren't just action-based people. We are so much more than just action-based. We have a heart. We have humility. We have humanity. We dehumanize our fellow human beings. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of going to I haven't been to a church like this in a long time. But I'm tired of just knowing the fact that there are churches, because I went to my grandmother's funeral recently, and the type of church, it was Black Baptist, and it's where a lot of my trauma comes from, in that area. And so instantly when I walked up in there, of course I had my protection judgment on. I'm proud of myself. I did not have my condemning judgment. I didn't. I did not. I didn't that time. I'm proud of that. However, I walk in there, of course, there goes the pastor judging people, condemning people. And I'm just like, is this what church is now? You just walk into these doors, hiding your own flaws at the doors, making sure nobody sees your fuck ups, so that we can listen to a pastor. And y'all know there's a lot of power behind the pulpit, unfortunately, in the wrong hands. So you can just hear our pastor, judge and condemn people who are outside those church walls. I'm just like, do you really need to put down others so that you can feel better about yourself? I'm just like, because everybody's holy when they're starting to condemn people, right? We're holy when we talk about people. Oh yeah, we're holy. We're holy. Excuse me, I'm holy when I talk about the church. I'm holy when I condemn them. Okay, I'm holy. I'm talking about me. I'm throwing myself under the Hummer limousine because you know what? That's why I've been saying us this whole time. I don't want nobody to feel attacked. I'm in there with you. I just see both sides because I experienced and currently experience both sides. One from personal experience and from others' experience. I've come across more people in my life who have been hurt by the church than I have people that have been helped by the church. I have come across more people that have been harmed by the church than people that have been healed by the church. So I'm fed up. I'm fed up. I'm fed up with me judging the church. I'm fed up with me condemning the church. I'm fed up. Folks, when judgment and condemnation becomes a cyclical thing, it can become a cycle before you even know it, and then it's just like, before you know it, you're miserable. You don't even realize you're miserable because you're just judging and being so critical of every single thing, and then we're being judgment and condemnation on ourselves. Where's the love? Where's the love? We are too hard on ourselves. We are too hard on our fellow human beings. And want to know what's so funny? Is we're also taught that by society. Look at social media. Look at the news. Don't look at the news because we all know it's nothing positive. But look at the news, but don't look at the news. I say look at the news. I say that, metaphorically. Look at the news. That's all that's on there. This is the last thing that I'm going to say. I'm working on, and I used to be extremely understanding. And then because of me judging and condemning others, I feel like I have now lost my will to understand others. And by others, I do mean the church. Because that's just my area of condemnation and judgment. They threw it at me, I'm throwing it back. That's the thing. Like, at least for me, it became a point. I'm almost finished. It became a point where my judgment was no longer, helpful to my survival. it started hindering my survival. It's when the judgment really started turning into condemnation. You know, I take judgment. I feel like there could be good and bad in judgment. For example, like make a good judgment and not go pet a fucking lion. It just I mean, you can do it and the lion might not, maul you to death. But like it also could. Oh, here's a better example. Don't use your judgment to not go to a mama bear and her cubs and go kick the cub. It's just, use your judgment. And then there's also the other side of judgment where it's just like, it's kind of like the protection. Yeah, I mean, not protection. Sorry. That's what the first one was. What I meant to say is that there's also that other side of judgment where it's kind of like the warning sign. It's kind of like the warning sign in the start of condemnation. That's where we can catch ourselves because the humans will judge. Judgment is also very, very directly correlated to biases. This is the thing, folks. It is okay to have biases, just don't let them have you. Work on not letting them have you. Just don't be perfect at it, folks. Just try. Try. Just try. It is okay to have biases, just don't let them have you. And that's easier said than done. Do not be perfect at it, folks. Just try your best. Just try. Just try. As long as you've tried, applaud yourself. Because guess what? Progress. Trying is progress. Okay? We love process over perfection. We love progress over perfection. Try so you will get triumph. You know what I mean? And then, towards the end of that judgment, that's when we see condemnation. I feel like judgment can be, and obviously this is debatable, but at least in my experience, there we go. And if y'all relate to this statement, cool. If not, cool. Not for you, and that's okay. This next statement's gonna hit the right ears. I feel like judgment is in, or can be in condemnation, but condemnation is not in judgment. For example, sadness and depression, two different things. Okay? They have their relatability. Sadness is in depression, but depression is not in sadness. No, depression is extreme. That shit is it can be chronic. It can last for a long time, and it can get worse and worse and worse. Sadness, on the other hand, the definition of sadness is those down feelings lasting up to 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, it can start to be considered in the realm of depression. Do your research, folks, whatever. It can be considered in the realm of depression. Now, the thing is, depression, just like, for example, I experience crippling depression. Okay. Now, there could be someone right next to me that has experienced depression. Theirs could be circumstantial, theirs could be chronic, theirs could be crippling, theirs could be major depressive disorder. You know what I mean? And still all depression. However, people have experienced it at different, to different extents. So my extent or experience of depression is not like the other person's. So for me to say, oh, you just get over it. I haven't said this, but someone said this to me. Well, I know depression, so therefore, this is what you should do to get out of it. You just got to think positive. I'm in my head, like, first off, you probably just have sadness. Second of all, you've experienced, like, let's say if there was a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not that bad, 10 being horrible. Yes, you have experienced depression, my friend. Yes, you have experienced depression, but you compared to me, if we like put each other in different in each other's shoes, my extent of depression could be a level 8, and your level 8 of depression could be a level 2 to me. So I got off on a little tangent, but I feel like that needed to be said. That needed to be said, and I've read this quote that's saying people that have experienced the worst of the worst tend to understand people who have experienced worse, but not as bad. But they tend to understand, they tend to not be on the person and be like, well, you just got to do this, or you just got to do that. Like, it's great to give advice, but ask the person, can I offer advice? Or just ask them, what do you need from me in this moment? Okay, because maybe this person does not need advice. Maybe they just need someone to listen. I know we want to oftentimes just have the answers and be the problem solver for people. No, they don't need to hear right now, oh, you just got to pray about it. No. If you're wanting to pray, how about you pray with them in that moment? Don't have people do everything on their own. We're doing the best we can on our own. Unfortunately, in this society, it's taught to be independent. I'm just like, humans were never meant to be on their own. That is both in sacred text, all of them. That is both in sacred text, okay, and just psychologically speaking, and just humanly speaking. Just look at all these things around you. This device that you're listening on, the platform that you're listening to this podcast on, it takes multiple minds, multiple people operating it someday, so it works best for you. And then my last point is going back to the depression and the advice and stuff like that. We can say the right thing but at the wrong time. There's a time and a place and a way to say something. Make sure all three of them line up. And if you don't know what to do in that moment, just ask the person, what do you need from me in this moment? Do you need someone to listen? Do you need a pastor? Do you need me to preach to you? Do you need me to just sit down and be present with you and we not say anything? What do you need? What do you need from me? Because if we really want to help someone, we got to help them in the way that they can be helped. We got to help them in the way that they can receive. What good is offering help if it's just going to harm them? If you really want to help them, ask them what they need. And if they say that they don't know, just sit with them. Sit with them. Or you can offer them suggestions. Say, well, can I give you advice? Or, can we go for a walk? Or can we do this? That's when you start to come in a little bit. But it's just like, sometimes, yes, people will ask for you to get your advice. Or for you to tell them your experience. Yes. That is the right time to say it, when they ask. And you can ask, what do you need from me? That's the best way to help someone. And then just going back to that statement, judgment and condemnation, but condemnation is not in judgment. Because I'm making a good judgment, not to go, strangle a bear cub in front of its mother. Obviously, I'm using an extreme example, but we all know not to do that. So that's why I'm using it. I'm just like, we all know not to do that. Okay. Because I feel like if I say another example, people are going to be like, I'm daring enough to do that. And they'll just miss the whole point because I am that person. Some people say, oh, I'm using my judgment not to jump out of a plane called skydiving. But then there's me. I'm like, is that a bet? It's just like, you want to bet? Is that a challenge? Because I will do it. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm going to use the extreme, because I guarantee you less and less people, more people will say yes to skydiving, less people will say yes to strangling a baby bear cub right in front of its mother. Now, because I'm sure there's somebody out there that would try it and that has tried it, because it's humans. You just never know what you're going to get. So I'm using my judgment to do that, so yeah, I feel like, too much judgment too much of anything can turn into a bad thing. It has its good parts, and it's just like, too much of it That's when that shit really just starts to get to you. And I just threw myself under the Hummer limousine. I don't know what I'm going to title this episode. Y'all, I usually don't announce bonus episodes on my social media, but I think this is going to be one of the ones that I do announce. I feel like someone needs to hear this. And so it will be heard. And it will be said. Also, folks, I want to be more interactive with the audience. So, folks, if you're listening and you would like to be a special guest on this podcast, totally reach out to me on Instagram. I am pretty good at answering my DMs for now. I'm pretty good at it. I say for now because knowing me, I don't know. I used to be great at texting. I'm horrible at it now. Y'all know how many texts I have in my unread text in my phone? Oh my gosh, y'all. I'm embarrassed to say the number, so we're just not going to say it. But too much. Too many. Too much. So, I'm great at responding. Well, I'm better at responding in DMs than my text. So, folks, if you would like to be a special guest on this podcast, it's great exposure for your platform. And if you just want to get your story out there, or if you just have any questions about, like what it would look like if you were a special guest on the podcast, just totally down. Just totally let me know on Instagram. And I'm doing this because I want to just be more interactive with the audience, because I really mean it when I say this is not just my podcast, this is our podcast. If you are listening, or if you have ever been on this podcast, this is a part of you. I'm not in this on my own, folks. You're here with me. I'm not independent with this. On the outside, it looks like I'm independent with this because I'm running everything pretty much. But I'm not going to claim that. Folks, you are in this with me. This podcast wouldn't be what it is without the listeners. That's also another thing. Don't get me started on it. But these celebrities, we got to also understand. Yes, they provide the content, but it's the audience that really made you famous. I was like, who's the more important part, the celebrity or the audience? So that's why I'm just like, yeah, the most important part of this podcast is the audience. Y'all are the ones that are listening and getting healing. Y'all are the ones that are sending this podcast to other people, and you probably saved their life. Y'all are the ones that are continuing this podcast because of your listens. It makes the podcast continue. And who knows? This podcast might need to continue for the next 5 years because there's someone 5 years from now that is gonna be on their way home to kill themselves, or to go jump off of a bridge, or to go put a gun in the mouth. But because of the audience keeping this podcast going, that person gets to live another day because of y'all. You can be a hero anytime and not even know it. I know on movies we see, someone come save the day in an instant. No, that's not what a hero always looks like. Sometimes hero looks like the small things, and they end up saving someone's life 10 years from now. Or when they've died, and they leave a legacy, and they end up saving so many people's lives. And you see how long it took? There's so many great authors and celebrities where it's just like, they've died, but their work, still heals. So folks, like, being a hero isn't exclusive to an instant second or within 2 hours. It's a process. Look at doctors when they're treating a cancer patient. Speaking of cancer, y'all, I might have cancer, unfortunately. Well, I gotta go get checked for it, so that's fun. I mean, well, y'all know I don't give a fuck about this earth that much to care, so I don't really care. I'm being honest with you, but I'm gonna go I promise, I'm gonna go to the doctor. I scheduled the appointment to get screened for skin cancer, so we'll see. Because at first I was like, I don't care, I'm not getting doctor. If it's I just don't care. But, mental health will do that to you, yay. Alright, folks, I'm gonna let y'all go. This podcast was not as long as I thought it was gonna be, or how long as it could be, because y'all know how I am. Thank y'all for supporting. Follow the podcast, and people, thank you, and thank you. Folks, yes, come on this podcast, be a special guest, and you will be treated with the utmost royalty, as you are. Period. Alright. Bye, folks. I will see y'all next episode. For whatever that will be. Because I don't know.